Welcome. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu la'asok b'divrei Torah.
Amen.
I'm going to go ahead and share, and we're getting close to the end of Chukat. All right. So we are in the middle of a poem or a song. The bards would sing the words of this song, and it has to do with the attack of the Amorites on Moab, on the Moabites, and their successful battle. And the story behind this is the backstory in a way is that the reason why the Amorites were so successful is because Bilam cursed the Moabites, and that took care of them. So that's why Balak hired Bilam to curse the Israelites. He thought it was going to work. So, but we have a court of appeals that goes higher than any human being. So here we go. In the middle of the poem. Ki esh yatzah mecheshbon, because a fire went out from Cheshbon. That's the name of a place. Lehava, a flame, mikiryat Sichon, from the city of Sichon. Sichon, of course, is the name of the king, right, of the Amorites. Achla Ar Moav. It has consumed Ar, the name of the city. I don't know if they were a pirate town. Maybe. Yeah, I know. Right. Ar of Moab. That was maybe the capital city. Baalei Bamot, the lords of the high places. Arnon. That's the Arnon, of course, is the name of the wadi. And interestingly enough, the Onkelos goes into quite a bit of explanation in its translation, right? So I have to tell you, I it's interesting. I looked up this word in Jastro, and I didn't get a lot of help here, but it was coming up with things like east wind or something like that. But I think, maybe the idea of an east wind is that it's a fiery east wind. We have other examples in scripture that talk about the destructive nature of this wind. Takif would be strong, powerful, ke'esha, like fire. So an east wind as powerful as fire. Nefak went out, mecheshbon, from Cheshbon, of day krava, right? So this is to do krava would be a war battle, beshalhovita, right? Shalhevet, I believe it's a cognate with Hebrew. So in other words, again, a fiery flame, right? It made a fiery flame, did battle, Mikarta de Sichon, from the city of Sichon. Ketilu Ama, it killed the nation Dishro Bilchayat, that lived in Chayat. And Rashi has either told us or will tell us that the Hebrew R is translated in Aramaic as Lechayat. That's the way the in Aramaic we mention that town. Lechayat Moab, that is the city in Moab. Qumraya, now Qumraya are priests, the Falchin, that worship Beit Dachala Ramata. So Dachala again is to sort of worship, etc. All right. Ramata, the high place of Arnon, in Arnon. So he does quite a bit to try and explain the very difficult wording and syntax of the poetry. So let's take a look at Rashi. Ki esh yatzah mecheshbon. So he says, Mishe kavsha Sichon, right? When once Sichon had conquered it. Achla Ar Moab. So here we go. This is where Rashi is telling us, right? It consumed the Ar of Moab. Shem Ota HaMedina, right? This particular province, Krui Ar Balashon Ivri. It's called Ar in Hebrew, U'Lechayat Balashon Arami, and Lechayat in Aramaic. Ar Moav, Ar Shel Moav. That is the city of Ar of Moav, or the province of Ar of Moav. Okay, going on. Oy lecha Moab. Woe to you, Moab. Avadata am kamosh, right? You have perished, O nation of Kamosh. Natan banav platim, right? You have given your sons over as a remnant, right? And Uvnotav and his daughters, Bishevit, have sent into captivity Lamelech Emori Sichon, to the king, the Amorite king Sichon. So just an interesting little note here, which Rashi, I believe, is going to mention as well. These are not the words of the historian, that is the historian meaning the person, well, when he says historian, is he talking about the bards? I'm not sure, right? But those of Bilam and Beor, for they cursed the Moabites as they'd been hired to do so, just what I'd explained, so that they should be delivered into Sichon's hands. And that's from the Tanhuma. So maybe the point about here is that this particular of the poem is in a way sort of the person who's sort of narrating it, and these are supposed to be the words of Bilam and his father Beor. Okay. Anyway, finding the place. Oy lecha Moab, right? Woe to you, O Moab. Shekalalu et Moab. That is, I see what it's saying. It's not a commentary, it's a curse, right? They're cursing. I now think I understand it. What he's saying here is that there's a quote here of the curse that is, woe to you, Moab, is a curse that Bilam and Beor are saying, right? Shekalalu et Moab, they cursed Moab, sheyimtzeru biyado, that they would be handed over into the hands, of course, of Sichon. Kamosh, we mentioned the word Kamosh, Shem Elohei Moab. That's the name of the god of Moab, is Kamosh. Natan, right? Hanoten et banav el Moab, right? Who gives his sons, who gives over the sons of Moab, Platim or Plata. Let's take a look. Yeah, Platim. A Palet is like a remaining few of like who are destroyed in a battle, right? The survivors. Nasim ufleitim, they flee and they escape mecherev, from the sword, ve'epnotav beshvit, and his daughters into captivity, etc. Onwards. Ve'niram avad cheshbon ad divon, right? Niram, their dominion. Cheshbon has destroyed ad Divon, until Divon. So I'm trying to think, maybe Cheshbon is part of that. That's a Moabite city, right? So Veniram, Avad, Cheshbon, ad Divon. This again, the syntax is just tough, right? So Cheshbon has been lost until Divon. Nashim, we have caused desolation ad Nofach, until Nofach, Asher ad Medva, which is right next to Medva. Okay. Let's see. Nir Amavad, right? Malchut Shilahem. Nir Am means their dominion, right, has been lost. Avad Cheshbon Adivon, Malchut Ayil Shahayala Moab, the dominion and the strength that Moab had Becheshbon, in Cheshbon, Avad Misham, has been lost from there. V'chein Ad Divon, and likewise the words Adibon, Tirgum Shel Sar, Ad. So he says the word Ad, he says, it has to do with Sar, to be removed, to go away. Ad Klomar, that is to say, Sar need near Midivon. That is to say, that dominion has departed from Divon. Near Lashon Malchut, he says near has the connotation of dominion, sovereignty. Ve'el Memshelet Ish, right? And Ale, and the dominion of a person, Kamo, in Kings, first book of Kings, chapter 11, Leman Yeyot near David Avdi, in order that there should be dominion to David, my servant. Venashim. So this word is from the shin is the gusha. So he's saying that the shin has a dagesh, has a start here. That's a dagesh, the start here, right? So let's go in. Let's take a look. Lashon shmama. This has to do with a meaning of desolation. Kach yomru hamushlim venashim. This looks like otam, right? So this is what the bards, the troubadours sing, and venashim otam. Let's make sure I have the right place here. Okay, because sometimes it's yes. Okay. And they have become desolate, something to that effect. As you can see, I myself am struggling with the Hebrew and the syntax here. Okay, okay. Ad nofach, until nofach, hash, hash, yes. I think he's talking about Hashimunum, maybe? I can't really tell. Again, this letter here is not really well formed. Ad nofach until. So I think he's saying that they had heshimunum. I guess I'd pronounce this. They have been rendered waste until nofach. So hopefully, at least I'm giving you a valid interpretation of the Hebrew here.
You got it exactly right according to Chabad.
Okay. Well, thank God. Thanks for the encouragement, Lauren. Okay, well, it's good to know. And of course, I would hope, as you've done in the past, if I'm off track, it's been a big help that you have the Chabad translation there. Okay, so now we're into some regular Hebrew. Vayeshev Yisrael, and Israel settled be'eretz ha'emori, in the land of the Amorites. Vayishlach Moshe leragel et Yazer, and Moses sent off to spy out Yazer, that area. Vayilkadu b'noteha, and they attacked. They were able to destroy its dependencies, right? The suburbs of this Vayorish et Ha'emori, and again Asher Sham, and they disinherited the Amorites that were there. So this is all Amorite territory, and there's a sweet Rashi coming up. Vayishlach Moshe leragel et Yazer. So we already know this is not the first time Moses has sent out spies, right? People to reconnoiter. So Moses too. Hamiraglim lakduha. That is to say, that those spies were able to take it, were able to conquer it. Amru, they said to themselves, Lo na'aseh karishonim. We're not going to repeat that what happened before, right? We're not going to do like the first ones. Betuchim anu b'koach. We are comfortable. We can rely on koach tfilato shel Moshe, on the prayer of Moses, the power of Moses' prayer to do battle, l'hilachem, onwards. Vayifnu va'elu derech Bashan, and they turned and went up by way of the Bashan. We're not talking about the spies anymore. We're talking about the Israelites. Okay. Vayetze Og, and Og came out, Melech HaBashan, king of Bashan, likratam. He wasn't. He was to meet them. Hu v'chol amo, he and all his people, la milchama, for war. Edrei, at Edrei. Again, name of a place, or to Edrei. So let's take a look. Yeah, no Rashi on this. Let's keep going. Vayomer Hashem el Moshe al tiraoto. So God said to Moses, do not be afraid of him. So again, you want to understand, if God is saying to Moses, don't be afraid, we know, therefore, that Moses was afraid. We know. Otherwise, God would not have told him not to be afraid if he wasn't afraid to begin with. So we now have to understand what was Moses afraid of, right? Of clearly of Og in some sense or another. So God, the Torah goes on to say, Ki v'yadcha natati oto, for I have placed him into your hands, Ve'et kol amo, his entire nation, Ve'et arzo, and his land, Va'asita lo, and you should do to him, Kasher asita leSichon melech ha'Amori, just as you did to Sichon the Amorite king, Asher Yoshev beCheshbon, who dwelt in Cheshbon.
Hot. Back and forth.
Okay, let's find the place. Al tira oto, do not be afraid of him. So this is from Tractate Nida, or rather, excuse me, from the Masechet Nida, page 61 in the Talmud. Shaya Moshe Yareh, that is to say, that Moses was afraid. This should be a lamed. Okay, look at this, the letters, unfortunately. Lehi lachem, to do battle. Shema ta'amod lo, lest zuchuto shel Abraham, the merit of Abraham, would stand in Og's stead, right? That would somehow help him. Shinemar, how do we know? What's this got to do with Abraham? Genesis chapter 14, Vayavo hapalit, and it says, again, there's that pleta, right? That's people, the escapees. So this person who had escaped came, who Og, and we're talking about that person as a tradition, that palit was Og, right? Shepalat min harifaim, he was able to escape from the Rephaim. That makes okay, right. Shehiku, so that Kedar LaOmer v'Chaverav and his associates had smitten, right? Og was one of the last remaining Rephaim that Kedar LaOmer and his associates had defeated, had slain, Ashtarot Karnaim, and Ashtarot Karnaim. It's Shenemar, as it says in Deuteronomy, it looks like 3. Rak Og Melech HaBashan Nishar, only Og, king of Bashan, Nishar Miyeta HaRephaim, was left over from the remaining Rephaim. And I think that's the Rashi for now. Yes. Yeah. Okay. Going on. Vayaku oto, so the Israelites smote him, ve'et panav, and his sons, ve'et kolamo, and his entire nation, ad bilti hishir lo sarid, into a point where they left no remnant. Vayeshu et arzo, and they took over his land. They inherited his land. Vayisu b'nei Israel, and the Israelites journeyed further, Vayachanu ba'arvot Moab, and they encamped in the plains of Moab.
You didn't do the Rashi
Is there
for
Rashi? Oh, sorry. Yes, I'll go back and do that. Right. Vayaku oto. Thank you. And they smote him, Moshe Hargo, and was saying that Moses was the one who actually killed Og, Kedeida Brachot, as we find in Tractate Brachot, again in the Talmud, page 54. Haroeh. The last chapter of Brachot is called Haroeh, the one who sees. Akar Tura, he lifted up, he removed a rock, Bar Talta Parse, that was as big as 3 parasangs long, etc. And he threw it at Og, I'm assuming, and killed him. So believe me, a parasang, I think, is a Persian mile. So this rock was 3 miles long. Again, literature trying to probably describe how how challenging this had to be. So let's keep going right here. Okay, so we're here. Ad bilti vayeshut arso vayisu b'nei Israel, and the children of Israel journeyed vayachanu ba'arvot Moab, and they They encamped in the plains of Moab, Ever Yarden, on the other side of the Jordan, Yericho, by Jericho, on the other side of the river Jordan, opposite Jericho. And that is it for this particular Sedra. So I'm going to stop the share. Any comments, any thoughts, any questions?
Yeah,
Go.
I got something.
Go for it, Golda.
Okay. R. It
Yes.
caught me as or maybe. And I looked at the spellings of both, and
Yes.
they are both
Interesting.
similar in spelling.
Yes.
And then I did some digging because
Okay.
that's what I do.
Yes.
And they are related in their shoresh, in their root.
Right.
But they do mean two different things. But
Absolutely. Absolutely. Two different cities. Okay.
right. And they are two different cities, but they're
Correct.
both cities.
Yes, they
But
are.
they also mean something different
Okay.
depending on how you decided, because or means something about waking people up, and R
Or
means
air. Yeah.
city itself. Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
But it's still, or combining things together like cities and clouds and things like that, because they both end up in those words. It was just interesting, and it just
Yes.
sparked me.
Right.
Because
Because Ur is in the Chaldees, right?
Mhm.
Ur Kasdim. And maybe that's why it's called Ur Kasdim, because there were other places called Ur or Ar. And yeah. And that's of
And
course
they end up being either no, they end up being like the ends of words a lot too. So like a suffix,
oh, yes.
like sha'ar, and other and other
Oh,
other things that
oh,
have.
okay. All right. Yeah.
But I think those are nah, maybe those spellings are different. But I don't know. But I saw something about that. But it was just like I was going through, but it was not a kosher website. So now I'm starting to do some other things, but it looks like they are related because they're both ayin resh,
Okay.
but they
Okay.
come from the show resh ayin resh resh.
Okay. All
Yeah,
right.
so that was interesting.
Yeah, that is. That is.
Learn something new every day.
Okay, any other comments? Otherwise, I'm going to stop here and there we go.